Your sister just got divorced, so you will take care of her and her kids from now on. My mom declared. My dad added, do that, or the door's right there. I stood up and said, perfect, I was just about to leave. Imagine finding out your own father, the man who taught you right from wrong, had secretly forged your name on a massive home equity loan without your consent. That's the bomb that dropped just weeks before my mom, with a fake smile, announced that because my sister was divorced, I would now be supporting her and her kids. And when I hesitated, my dad just said, do that or the door's right there. And you know what I said? Great. I was just about to leave. My name is Sawyer. I'm 32. I work underground in the mine, and I come home smelling of it, wearing the dust and the rock the way some people wear cologne. I'm the youngest of two, the son who lifts, fixes, and doesn't complain. The one who learned to count by tallying overtime on crumpled pay stubs. The one who moved back to town when Dad hurt his back and Mom needed a reliable set of hands. I can carry a 100-pound spool across wet rock without thinking. I can also cut apples small enough that my niece, with a missing front tooth, won't choke. And I can replace a garbage disposal at midnight because my sister forgot to turn the breaker off and fried it again. I'm that guy. The kind of person people call when their car makes a noise and their house makes a smell. In my family, though, that just made me a tool, not a person. We don't have fancy holidays. We have folding tables and a plastic tub of mismatched forks. We have turkey when it's on sale and ham when Frank at the deli owes Dad a favor. But New Year's? Mom always insisted on candles, paper crowns, and the good plates. Her wedding gift from Aunt Trudy back in '89. She'd polish them with the same towel she used for the dog's paws, always saying, presentation matters. I showed up that night in my work jacket. My truck's heater was on the fritz. Sawyer. Mom fussed the moment I stepped inside. You're tracking in half the county. Like the dust was a moral failing. Dad turned the TV down, kept the game on mute. My sister, Ivy, sat at the end of the table with her two kids, one drawing on a napkin, the other chewing pretzels like they were currency. Hey, buddy, Ivy said to me without even looking up. Do you have Zelle? Hi to you, too, I muttered, heading to wash my hands. The smell of cabbage rolls and cheap champagne, sweating in a plastic bucket, filled the air. One good knife and 4 dull ones. I carved. Mom hovered. Thinner, she commanded. People are watching their figures. She meant herself, then promptly took the first thick slice and hid it under some lettuce. We ate. We did the small talk that isn't small talk. It's a quiet census of who's working quiet hours, who's pulling extra shifts, who got written up, who got written off. Dad asked about a union meeting he never attends. Ivy scrolled her phone, her thumb jaw tight. Then, the moment we'd pressed paper crowns to our heads, Mom flicked off the lights for ambience, and she cleared her throat like she was stepping up to a microphone. She likes beginnings. She likes decrees. Sawyer, she announced, your sister's divorced, and now you'll be supporting her and her kids. Simple as that, son. Forks paused. The game on mute showed a coach yelling into a headset. Dad nodded without looking at me. If you disagree, the door is right there. I stared at the wax, dripping on a bent candle, like it held some kind of answer. I'm good with pressure, but surprise? That's a different weight. The first thing I felt was heat in the back of my neck, my ears, inside my mouth. The second thing was that old muscle memory, the one that makes you say, okay, sure, we'll figure it out. But there was a third thing, stubborn and cold, climbing my spine like a ladder. I put my napkin down. I heard my own voice, clear as a shovel hitting steel. Perfect, I said. I'm gone. And you can start paying your own mortgage. Simple as that. I didn't stand. Not yet. I just let the word sit there, right in the center of the table, between the gravy boat and the bowl of store-bought Kellogg's Mom had sprinkled with paprika to make it look homemade. Ivy blinked, finally. Dad reached for his glass, like it could save him. Mom smiled, slow and dangerous. The smile she uses right before she pulls out a record from when I was 16 to prove I'm still a child. The room held its breath. Mine didn't. I tucked it into my chest and waited for the next line in a script I hadn't agreed to anymore. I became the reliable one because I learned early that the reliable one gets the least trouble and the most tasks. Growing up, Dad always said, "A man provides." He never clarified who for. He meant for the house to feel calm. He meant for Mom to have less to do. He meant for Ivy to keep her smile. And he meant for himself to watch TV without interruption. We weren't broke, not exactly, but we were always one thing away from it. An alternator, a roof leak, braces. Then the plant shut down when I was 16, and Dad went self-employed, which meant he wore work boots to the bar and told anyone who'd listen he was waiting on a call. Mom picked up shifts at the craft store and learned to weaponize coupons. I learned there's a different kind of poverty when everyone still wants to be seen as middle class. It makes people mean. I started at the mine the summer after high school. If you weren't going to college, you went down or you left town. I went down. The first day, the foreman said, "You'll smell like this forever." He was right. Even after 3 showers, my pillow had a shadow. In the cage, packed shoulder to shoulder with men who chewed toothpicks like contracts, I found a strange quiet. It's loud down there, but it's honest. Rock is rock. Weight is weight. You don't have to guess what it wants. I paid rent at home because Dad called it contributing. When a pipe burst in winter, I called the plumber, paid cash. Then Dad told the family he'd handled it. It was smoother that way. When Ivy turned 19 and wanted something with peace and light, she moved into a place with questionable outlets. I handed over my extra space heater and said, "Keep it on low." Months later, I saw it in Mom's garage sale for $2. "It's not safe," she said, taking the money. Ivy married a guy named Sean who could charm the hair off a dog. He called me big man and borrowed tools he never returned. Their wedding was a potluck in a rented hall. Dad cried when he gave the toast. He didn't cry when I got my permanent badge at the mine. 2 years into their marriage, I started paying small things, because it was easier than watching Ivy cry. First, it was a daycare deposit, just until his check clears. Then a car seat, because safety. Then the ER copay when my niece fell off the monkey bars. I paid because I love those kids and because I have a grasp of spreadsheets Mom will never respect. Mom graduated from hints to expectations so quietly I didn't even notice. Grab milk on your way. The school is asking for a donation. Put your name, but we'll all feel good. You know your father's back. I learned to carry things with one hand and guilt with the other. At work, I made lead. I trained new guys. I volunteered for shut-ins and holiday shifts because the pay was better and the noise kept my head from spinning. Underground, I could predict the day. Check the air. Check the line. Mind the roof. Mind your hands. Above ground, the rules were trickier. Don't show off. Don't out-earn your father. Don't embarrass your sister. Don't say no. Because if you say no, you think you're better. I did. Okay. Not by a boat, okay. But replace my tires without an anxiety attack, okay. I built a sinking fund in an ugly green binder with tabs. I even offered to refinance the house in my name once, after Dad got a letter with red text. He refused. A man pays his own mortgage, he said. He said this with a check from his mother, hidden in a cookbook already cashed. When Ivy's marriage cracked, it was like hearing a rock pop in the walls long before a roof fall. You feel it in your teeth. Sean took time to find himself, which meant a roommate and a scooter. He posted pictures of smoothies. Ivy posted memes about strong single moms and texted me, "Can you cover gas until Friday?" Multiplied. Mom's script shifted. "Sawyer, family comes first. Your sister needs stability. The kids need routine." It's what Grandpa would have wanted. Grandpa left us his tools and his stories. He never left us the right to put a human being on direct debit. The family group chat turned into a ledger with emojis. If I paid, thumbs up. If I hesitated, silence. Then a phone call from Dad. "You know how your mother worries." Ivy and I are only 18 months apart, but in Mom's narration, she is permanently just figuring things out. I am permanently the fixer. That's his gift. For a long time, I mistook being needed for being loved. One night in November, I got home at 2 a.m. after a double. My boot heel left a crescent on the mat. On the counter, a note in Mom's handwriting, torn from a yellow legal pad. Took your debit. Will put back on Monday. Expedite. She'd paid the minimum on a department store card we don't use. It's emergency only. Then bought new curtains because the light is rude in the living room. When I brought it up, she just laughed. You're so sensitive. December. I opened my mail over the sink because if you cry into dishwater, it doesn't count. The envelope had a bank logo I don't bank with. Inside, welcome to your home equity line of credit. I don't own a home. Dad had added my name to an application package. I learned that phrase when I spent an entire lunch break on hold. It's just to consolidate, Dad said later, his phone crooked between ear and shoulder while the game resumed. Names don't mean much, he grinned. You'll thank me when the rate dips. I didn't thank him. I froze, like a man who hears a creak in the dark. Then December turned into New Year's, and Mom set the table like a magazine that's a little sticky. And I walked in, boots still damp, hope still thin, which brings us back to the candlelight, the paper crowns, Mom's mouth, finding a script she thought would be met with bowed heads. Your sister's divorced, and now you'll be supporting her and her kids. The thing about mines is you can feel when the pressure isn't safe. It's in the way the air moves, in the small sounds that don't fit. You step back. You put in a prop. You don't pretend it's fine and keep walking. I had kept walking head down for years. That night, I finally heard the noise and stopped. Dad said, if you disagree, the door's right there. The door had always been right there. I just hadn't wanted to see it. I didn't flip the table. I didn't shout. That's not my way. Underground, panic is how people get hurt. You keep your voice low, so others lower theirs. Let's be clear, I said. Supporting my niece and nephew is my choice, not your decree. And while we're making declarations, call the bank in the morning. Tell them you forged my name. Tell them to remove it. Fork scrape. Glass sweat. Silence. Mom blinked like a cat in sunlight. Forged. Such a dramatic word. It's family business, sire. It's fraud, I said. Dad's jaw went sideways. Watch your tone. No, I said, watch your paperwork. Ivy finally spoke, her voice small but sharp. Can you not do this right now? The kids are here. They're all ready, Ivy, I said, keeping my voice soft for her. I love them. That doesn't mean I'm your wallet. Her eyes filled, because of course they did. What am I supposed to do? Sean's gone. My hours got cut. Mom said, she started. I know what Mom said. I cut in. Mom says a lot. Mom also said she'd borrow my card and put it back Monday. Mom bristled. I wrote you a note. You wrote me a note, I agreed. Dad leaned back, playing the part where he's the patriarch who has thought hard. Here's what's going to happen, he said. You'll deposit half your check into your mother's account each pay period. We'll distribute as needed. It keeps things simple. You minors don't track things anyway. I laughed. It surprised me. I have ledgers. You have vibes. Dad's face shifted. He was losing the room he thought he owned. He raised his voice. If you walk out that door, don't come crawling back when you realize we were. Right. Right about what? I asked. That I'm only valuable if I pay for the privilege to sit at this table? Mom's smile vanished. She bared her teeth. Not a snarl, just a warning. You ungrateful boy. We raised you. We fed you. You fed me, hamburger helper, and told me to be thankful for a roof you didn't pay for a loan, I said. You raised me to be your backup plan. Her chair scraped. Get out. Gladly, I said. I stood. Then I did the one thing I'd rehearsed in my head for months and never had the nerve to do. I pulled out my phone, opened my bank app, and canceled the auto transfers I had set up for their utilities. Then I opened another app and turned off my card on Mom's digital wallet. Her eyes widened. She heard the notification ping on her phone across the table. A small sound, a practical one, like a valve closing. What did you do? She asked. I stopped being your ATM, I said. Simple as that. Dad pointed at the door. You're making a big mistake. I nodded. Probably, but it'll be my mistake. Ivy's voice broke. Sire, please. The rent. Text me a lease, I said. Directly from your landlord. I'll help you get to March, and then we're sitting down with a budget. You're getting a job with actual hours, or training for one. I'll babysit for interviews. I won't fund Mom's curtains again. Mom slapped the table. The candle wobbled. Do not talk to her like she's a child. She's not, I said, looking at my sister. That's the point. Dad grabbed the good plate with the cabbage rolls, like it needed protecting. After everything we've done, he said, you think you're better than us because you crawl in holes for a living and come out with a little hazard pay. I smiled. It probably looked like a grimace. I think I'm tired, I said. And I think I'm done. I put on my boots slow, because speed is panic disguised. I zipped my jacket. I reached into my pocket and set a folded piece of paper by Dad's fork. He glanced down. It was a copy of the Hellick paperwork with my forged signature circled in red, and a handwritten note. Police report drafted. Will file tomorrow if not resolved. I wasn't bluffing. A friend at the mine had given me the language. Guys who work with dangerous equipment learn to document. Dad swallowed. Mom's eyes flicked, calculating. That's a low blow, Dad said. Call it a boundary, I said. I looked at the kids. Hey, nerds, I said, softening. I put a Lego set in the truck. We'll build it this weekend. One gave me a gap-toothed grin. The other said, we're not nerds, we're wolves. Even better, I said. I opened the door. Cold air rushed in. Clean. Uncomplicated. Behind me, Mom hissed something about throwing family away. Dad said, don't bother coming back. Ivy said nothing. Her phone lit her face like a small blue moon. Happy New Year, I said to the night. It felt like a beginning that didn't need confetti. I thought the silence would be the worst part. It wasn't. The worst part was how loud everything got. Notifications. Unknown numbers. Please call me. Call your mother. Saw, are you serious? Then the long messages typed by someone who edits while they write. You know, we've always supported you in our way, but you're being dramatic and making Ivy suffer when she's the victim here, and your father is hurt and we are older and need respect. And this is not what good sons do. I read none of them out loud. I learned not to narrate my pain. At work, I told my supervisor I couldn't swap shifts with Ricky anymore to do school pickup. I told him I would still work doubles. Just not the kind that left me in the parking lot at 11:58 with a booster seat in the back and a knot in my stomach. He nodded, typed something into the schedule software, then said, You good? I said, better than last week. Ivy texted me a picture of her lease. I sent the money for January. Then I sent a link to a budgeting template with categories that aren't cute. Groceries, gas, kids, shoes, phone, car insurance, emergency fund. And one in capital letters, MOM. She texted LOL. I texted, not a joke. I offered to watch the kids while she took a class at the community college at nights. The reply took 2 hours. Maybe. Mom called my boss. I know because he summoned me to the office. The one with the clock that always shows 2:17. He rubbed his forehead and said, Your mother asked me to talk sense into you. I told her I manage schedules, not souls. I laughed. Him too. I brought him a coffee the next shift. Dad didn't call. He sent a picture of a power bill with the caption, Hope this makes you happy. I replied with a copy of the forged signature and the words, Call the bank. The bank called him. He called me. You really did it. I really did. What are you trying to do? Send me to jail. I'm trying to get my name off debt I didn't create. Silence. Then you think you're so clean? You think if you don't help, we'll figure it out. He laughed humorlessly. We will. We always do. Good, said. Figure it out. Mom escalated. She showed up at my place with a cake and the weaponized sweetness she keeps in the pantry for special occasions. You look thin, she said, glancing around. She touched the curtain with 2 fingers like she was checking a pulse. This place is depressing. It's mine, I said. You can't mean this, she said, launching without a runway. You can't mean to abandon your family at a time like this. Your sister is drowning. Your father is worried sick. Dad is worried about Dad, I said. I'm worried about not losing the next 10 years to solving problems that shouldn't be mine. She set the cake down with a thud. Do you know how you sound? Like a person with a spine, I said. She tried tears. When those didn't move me, she tried anger. When that didn't land, she tried history. We kept a roof over your head, she said, and reminded me of it every day, I said. Like rent with interest. She scoffed. You always were dramatic. Mom, I said, you took my card. You left a note. You added my name to a loan. It's family business. It's crime. She grabbed the cake back and stormed out. I ate a peanut butter sandwich and listened to the neighbor's dog bark like it was making a point. Ivy came over 2 nights later with a bag of laundry and 2 kids who ran to my couch like it was a trampoline. She stood in the doorway, face tired. I'm sorry, she said, which was new. I shouldn't have let Mom talk to you that way. I panicked. I know, I said. She said, Ivy started. She said you had savings. She looked guilty for knowing. She said you're hoarding. I have a 3-month emergency fund, I said. It took me 5 years. It's for broken transmissions and broken wrists. It's not for curtains. She laughed and cried at the same time. I hate her curtains. We sat at my tiny table while wolves built Legos. I showed her the spreadsheet gently, not like a weapon, but like a map. You don't have to do everything at once, I said. But you do have to stop letting Mom plan your money. I don't know how to say no to her, she said. Practice on me, I said. She exhaled then. No, Sawyer. I won't let you pay my phone bill forever. Good, said. Say it to her. She did. It didn't go well. Mom sent 6 long messages about respect and sacrifice, and we do for each other. Ivy sent 1 sentence back. I'll let you know when I can contribute to groceries. Mom didn't answer for a day. Then she sent a photo of an empty fridge with the caption, Guess we'll go hungry. Ivy muted the chat. I was proud of her, like you're proud of someone who finally sets the jack right under the axle and watches the car lift. Slow and sure. At work, the guys noticed I wasn't eating from the vending machine at midnight anymore. I was bringing leftovers that didn't taste like I'd lost a bet. New year, new you, one joked. New year, same me. Fewer parasites, I said. And we all laughed because all of us have someone who thinks your pay stub is a menu. Dad lasted 3 weeks before calling to say, Your mother's upset. I said, She's often upset. He said, We need you. I said, No, you want me. He said, Same difference. I said, Not anymore. He hung up. 10 minutes later, he texted me a picture of a shut-off notice. I forwarded him a link to the payment plan page. 2 hours later, never mind. Sorted. Translation, he asked a cousin. I slept fine. On a Sunday, I took the kids to the park. They screamed down the slide. Ivy sat on the bench, like a person whose bones had to learn a new arrangement. She stared at her hands. When did you stop hoping they'd change? She asked. The day I realized I could, I said. She nodded slow. Mom told me you threatened to call the police. I didn't threaten, I said. I prepared. She made a face, like the word tasted weird. Prepared, she repeated. I don't know how to do that. You're doing it, I said, nodding at the kids, at the bag with snacks you didn't ask Mom to buy, at the timer on your phone that says you have boundaries for screen time and bedtime. You just thought preparation was obedience. It isn't. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a flyer. Medical coding evening program. She held it like it could burn. Do you think I could? Yes, I said. Maybe too fast. I'll cover the first class. You pay me back once you get a job. We'll write it down so Mom can't call it a gift from the family later. She laughed for real this time. The kind of laugh that made the kids turn to see what could possibly be that funny. Write it down, she said. You're so you. Ledgers, I said, tapping my temple. Vibes are how we got here. February rolled in with snow and a long text from Mom. Your aunt is considering taking us off her phone plan because someone is late. We aren't late. We are managing multiple priorities. I didn't reply. Dad tried a new tactic. Nostalgia. Remember when I taught you to change your oil, he wrote. You owe me for the years I gave you. I typed. Deleted. Typed again. Then I sent. I remember teaching myself on YouTube because you were at the bar. He read it, then didn't. That non-answer felt like a window finally staying open. There were small wins that felt big because I saw them. Ivy returned a sweater Mom bought for an interview that still had the tags. She used the cash for groceries and texted me a picture of apples lined up on the counter like soldiers. "Look at me," she wrote, "feeding wolves." I sent back a wolf emoji and a heart, and a photo of my ugly green binder. "We attack," I wrote. On payday, I held my check in the break room like it was an animal that used to bite me. It looked smaller and bigger at the same time. Smaller because it was what it was. Bigger because it only had my name on it. I deposited it, and I bought myself a new pair of work socks that didn't have thin spots at the heel. It felt like an act of rebellion. It felt like a normal thing humans do that I had labeled selfish for too long, because my mother loved to assign sin to comfort. By March, the bank had finally removed my name from the HELOC. Dad clarified the misunderstanding. It took 3 calls, 1 letter, and a recorded line where I read a script that used the word misrepresentation 3 times. Dad didn't look at me for a week. That was fine. He'd spent years looking through me. At Easter, Mom texted a photo of a table without my plate. "We kept it simple," she wrote. "No drama." I ate ham sandwiches on my steps and thought about how quiet can be loud when nobody's telling you what you owe. I didn't get a grand healing. I got a Tuesday alarm. My thermos. My sky scrubbed clean. On my porch, a scrappy plant from Ivy for your window light. We're figuring it out. Here's the point. I'm not a bank or Plan B. I can love them and still say no. Mom still texts. I answer only real questions. Do you love us? Yes, enough not to let you use me. Dad pays his own mortgage now. Grumpy, learning Excel. Good. Ivy passed her first module. 92%. We celebrated with a cheap movie and sleeping kids. I let the mess wait. My rules. What changed? Not me. Boundaries just made my hand stop shaking. I keep the forged signature copy in my green binder as a fossil. Next to it, future trips. Days off without guilt. A bigger emergency fund. Cash only Christmas. One Sunday in April, the plant grew a new leaf. We ate spaghetti, laughed at the noodles on the ceiling, and washed our own dishes. No photos, no permission. Closure. You can stop paying for a seat at a table where you're the menu. You can walk through the door and keep walking. My name is Sawyer. I go down. I come up. And I keep my peace. What would you have done in my place when your family made demands like that? Have you ever had to draw a hard line with people you love? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to know.